Live from La Ciudad de Nueva York. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. What's happening, everybody around the world? I hope you're well. I really do. Excited about today's show. We got an old friend of ours on, and this is going to be good. Welcome to the show that's rich in hardcore folklore and history. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, Chain Reaction Records and Skateboards, the Texas Silver Rush, and Your Core Hardcore fan page. As a matter of fact, Your Core Hardcore fan page, in the wake of the pandemic, Your Core Chris created Your Core fan page, utilizing lessons learned from over 20 years of being an educator and social worker. He decided to try to reach where hardcore punk and the surrounding genres of bands create not only their music, but their message. The interviews are from a psychological perspective. I'm going to get at you from a psychological perspective. To harvest motivation. Not harvest motive. I'm going to harvest some motivation. Personal insight and perspective. Please reach out to them on Facebook or Instagram if you have content to share or if you want to promote your band, Your Core Hardcore fan page. There you go. Reach out to Hardcore Chris with your band. He's doing great stuff over there. How's everybody doing in the room of chat? I know a lot of people are excited. What's up, Gina? What's up, May? What's up, Lori? Hey, are there any guys watching the show today? What's up, Lenny? Oh, what's up, Lenny? And New York Hardcore, go hard or go home. That's right. Frankie Too Far, SSD Conflan. What's up, bro? Lori Dawn, you rule. Your Core Chris, what's up? What's up, Chris? You know, Bridget Collins watching the show. Whoa, now. Ooh, boy. Oh, wow. Is my hair? Ooh, it's real now. All right, there's a couple guys here. All right. You know. Hello. Dacia, what's up? Dacia. Did I get it right? Please. Oh, you watch all the time. All right. You just don't comment. Okay. All right. You're a lurker. Hey, Shauna, what's up? How are you? Wow. I'm honored. All right. Here we go. Hey, while we're at it, real quick, let's talk about a couple of shows that are coming up here. And then we'll bring on the Hardcore Shutterbug. Let me clear the deck here. Coming up on the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live this Sunday Fun Day Shout Out Day. Gary Meskel from the Crumbsuckers will be on the show. Then, a week from today, December 16th, from The Offspring, H2O, and Juliet and the Licks, Todd Morse. Then, on Sunday, December 20th, is the Global Unity Show with Lai and Riz, our brothers from Beijing and Hong Kong, respectively. And then is the big holiday show, episode number 8, Wednesday, December 23rd. We're going to be bringing all kinds of special guests on. We're lining them up now. So those are the next 4 shows. Get your shoes and socks on, kids. It's right around the corner. Also, I want to let you know that the 100th show has been booked. Not going to say who it is yet, but the 100th show has been booked. So there you go. Hisu, what's happening from Planet Texas? All right. Texas gal watching the show. That's cool. Gaz in Liverpool, England. What's up? What's happening? Bremen, Germany. My kind of town. Kathy Cave checking in. You know what? This is what I get for having a gala on the show, right? Oh, you dudes can take a powder, man. Sick of you dudes anyway, man. God. What's up, Larry the Hunter? Anyway, what's up with I can do this all day on this show. What's up? What's up, Jamie from? Oh, you want to come on Jamie from SSD Control wants to come on the Christmas show, bro. We'd love to have you. What's happening in Chile, Mitzi? All right. Belfast, Ireland. Okay. All right, can I get on with the show now? What's up with the hardcore shutterbug, Steven Messina?
What's up? How you doing?
Could you rub that mic across your chest a couple of times? Is
it doing it again? I got no more clothes to take off.
What's going on? There he is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
What's up?
There he is, the hardcore shutterbug, Steven Messina.
Live from Queens.
Driving that train, not high on cocaine, right?
High on caffeine.
Driving that train, high on caffeine. You know?
That's it.
There you go.
So the 100th episode. Should we tell them it's Mariah Carey?
Man, I can tell you it's definitely not Mariah Carey. You know what? No, I'll say this about the 100th show. It's someone that is. I wanted this guy. I connect with him. He has a deep love for New York hardcore. Yeah. That's all I want to say right now about it. You know.
Yeah.
And he has a new record out.
Yep.
All right.
Might be my album of the year.
Oh boy. Here we go. People are going to start guessing now, and someone's going to get it. Lenny will get it. Lenny,
I know.
You know. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Photo of the day. Steven Messina. Wrong answers only. Boom. Photo of the day. Interesting.
It's a great shirt. That's a classic shirt.
You know what? Everybody, I knew it. I give 2 clues out, and everybody fucking guesses who the hell the damn.
They got it? Really?
Yeah, a couple of people. I'm not even going to, I will say this, though. It's not Harley Flanagan.
Oh.
Okay? It's not Harley. Okay. Is it Jackson Brown? Is it Bob Marley? Is it Wayne Static? Good one.
He's no longer with us.
Is it? That's fucked up. Is it Mike Gallo?
No, his eyebrows aren't thick enough.
Is it Dr. Evil from Austin Powers?
Dr. Evil.
Is it Billy Grazia Day? Good one, Adrian. Danielle LePage out in Long Island. Is it Justin Bieber? Is it John? Oh, this is actually. Wait a second. Is it Fred Durst? Whoa, they're coming in fast and furious. Is it Fred Durst? Is it Steven Messina? Oh, is it Springer? Okay, let's not get carried away. Is it Scott Roberts? Is it John Lennon? Listen.
You know what? Throw him another one. Throw him as see if they can guess. I think I sent you a couple.
Is it Joe Rogan and the Experiences? It kind of does look like Joe Rogan.
Yeah, you know what? A little bit.
Yo, that's me, B. All right, wait. You sent me another one. You sent me another one, right?
Yep.
All right, from the same. Let me see. Photo of the day number 2. Well, that's interesting. Okay, here's photo of the day number 2. Hardcore Shutterbug, Steven Messina. There you go. Is it Paul McCartney? Is it Patrick? Is it Jose Feliciano? Did Jose what did Jose Feliciano did? Come on, baby, light my fire.
Yep.
Didn't he do Feliz Navidad? Dun, 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 dun,
yeah. I think he
Feliz
both of those.
Navidad. Dun, dun, Feliz Navidad. Lo quiero año socanema. I wanna wish you. All right.
And he was blind too, I believe.
Blind like fuck, bro. All right.
It's an album title right there.
Yeah, blind like fuck. Oh, that's like dead. Like, is it some dude playing bass? Is it Elvis Crespo? Yep. Feliz Navidad. Dun, 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 dun. Feliz Navidad.
The funny thing is, do you have the guitar player picture? Because that'll really throw things off. Because I think that.
Okay. All right. Hold on.
The other.
Well, we certainly want to throw things off. Oh, here's a clue, everybody. Here's a clue as to where it was shot. Where else but the Crazy Donkey? Oh my God.
That's awesome.
All right. If this is a Steven Messina photo, it must be shot at the Crazy Donkey. Here's the guitar player. Yeah, this is a pretty eclectic looking band. This is the guitar player, right?
The one hint I can give is I believe this guitar player went on to either be an actor or to go into MMA, I think.
Is it Evan the Rap God? Is it Jason Momoa? How do you pronounce that?
Momoa?
Momoa. Is it Gigi Allen? Is it? Oh, here's a good one. Chucky Brown, get your Telemundo game up, son. Okay, wait. Is it Tony Orlando Dawn?
That's funny.
So tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. It's been 3 long years.
I still remember the TV show.
Bro, Tony Orlando and Dawn. That was my fucking mech, bro. That was my dude. All right, here we go. You ready?
Someone's got to know.
Is it Alonzo? Is it ex-lead guitar of Sworn Enemy?
Boom.
Is it Lorenzo of Sworn Enemy? Let me go back to the other photo real quick. Is it here we go. Is it Sworn Enemy?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about it.
Sworn Enemy, the Crazy Donkey in Farmingdale, 2009. Hey, that was the place to be in 2009. I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
Long Island. Well, listen, we had Long Island. We had the Roxy Music Hall. We had Sundance. This was part of that progression because from the Crazy Donkey, when that closed, we then moved to Revolution, which is now closed. So now we still have Amityville Music Hall. God willing, that stays with us. But this was 2009.
Stop moving your head. Go.
I'm sorry. That was Sworn Enemy and Propane, as a matter of fact. Speaking of Gary Mescal. And, these guys have gone through, obviously, some lineup changes since then. But, weren't you just saying, at the one point, were they straight edge or they became straight edge?
I don't know.
Because I don't think they were straight edge at this point. So... But just a great band. They continue to make great albums, to this day. And, but this was a particularly good show. And I believe that lineup of the band kind of changed shortly thereafter this.
Yeah.
But great band.
Yeah, and that's a band that's, they've gone out and done a lot of hard work. They've toured the world, man. They're out there, man,
Oh yeah, well they did a lot of stuff with Biohazard, as I recall.
And you know what happens? What happens in the pit when they play? Everybody was kung fu fighting. Oh, they were chopping men up. They were chopping men down. It's an ancient Chinese art. Everybody does their part.
Who sang that song?
Who sang Everybody Was Kung Fu? It was like...
It's a one-hit wonder right there.
Yeah. All right.
Classic.
All right, cool.
Yeah, well, listen, you know what? It's what we're here for.
Hey, that's what we're here for.
I'm psyched. I'm psyched for Nancy. Got a chance to talk to her before the show, and we're in for some good stories today.
Absolutely. If you don't get fired by the time...
I'm sitting in the exact spot where when he came in, and I had to. You hear the buzzer?
It's like it reminds me of like the Enterprise, like when Kirk is like, Kirk to Bridge. It's like, all right, man. I'll talk to you in a bit.
I'll see you guys in a little while.
All right, looking forward to it. What's happening? It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, Chain Reaction Records, and Skateboards, and Your Core Hardcore fan page. New York Hardcore Comics opened back in 2013 when lifelong friends Debo DePro and Lee Fairley combined their collections and obsessions for comic books, punk rock, toys, statues, magic, the gathering, and all things horror. The store is located at 117 Main Street in lovely Dobbs Ferry, New York. If you want to support them during this pandemic, please contact them via email at newyorkhardcorecomics@gmail.com or any social media channel for an exclusive store package. That said, I know there's a couple of lurkers out there and you're wondering, man, I freaking love this show. How can I support it? Well, I'm going to tell you. Funny you should ask. There is a Patreon page. Patreon is our community within a community. I want to mention that I put special, never before seen stuff up on this Patreon page. As we all know, we talked about, I don't like putting my stuff up on the internet anymore and having it, passed around. So that said, just put a never before publicly released documentary film called Into the Pit, which is a documentary film about the history of slam dancing. And all kinds of people are in it. Rap Bones, Harley, Jimmy G, Vinny. It's up on the Patreon page. It will never be publicly available. It was done as a student college film, and the music in there, it was unclearable. It was done as like our friend who directed it, Matt Garland. It was like his what do you call that? His graduation thing or his big project. And they used a lot of music in it it was never really meant to be released. There's music in it that is not going to clear. So this is the only way you could see it. Join the Patreon page. It's $2, it's $5, it's $10. Get down. Also, there's a PayPal page, stone4124@aol.com. That's right. I got an email address when the Neanderthals were still walking the earth, and I still use it. So please support the page. Support the page with Patreon. Also, if you're watching the show there, subscribe. In rerun, there's a subscription button there. Subscribe to Stone Films NYC YouTube page so you get alerts when it is happening. So, Rap Bones is in it with long hair. Yep, Theses. Not to be confused with Theses. Go check it out, Nick Black Sabbath. It's really interesting. It's a really interesting film. It's over 10 years old. Everybody looks younger in it. Larry Kelly says, I saw it last night and it's fucking awesome. Negative Approach that's right. They shot Negative Approach in the film. Yeah. I don't want to put my stuff on the internet so it's passed around like a joint. Right? It was a good documentary. Yeah, our boy Matt Garland, who was one of the cameramen in XXX All Ages XXX, the Boston hardcore film. He did it. Support Don't Be a Lurker. Patreon is pretty cool. Yes, please. That said, welcome everybody who's just chiming in on the show. Want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. There is merch. We sell merch, including the Do Good Things and Good Things Come to You line. It's available. You can see it. You can see it down there. And support our friends, women. Where'd it go? That's Women of the Pit on Facebook. You dudes are not welcome, but you gals can go there. We don't want you animal dudes on there. Just goyles. Some of our friends are running it. It is an awesome page, so go check that out. That said, I got to shout out Upstate Rick. I found out today, I don't know how I missed this, that there was a fundraiser to help Rick out. And somehow I missed this fundraiser to get Rick a wheelchair. I love you, brother. Next time, please let me know so I can announce it on the show. Dudes can join the page. Is that right? Dudes are welcome on the page. Go figure. I was scared. I know I was accepted to be on there, and I was afraid to post. I thought it would be like, get him, he's a dude. Like that scene in Frankenstein with the villagers. Like, get him. No, but I like girls. No, take my hand. Oh, the Instagram. Oh, dudes can join the Instagram page. Okay. All right. Got it. All right. The Boston hardcore film was great. Well, thank you, Raymond. I appreciate it. All right. Enough silliness. All right. Yeah, my wife tells me it's their new secret society. It's the hardcore, it's the female hardcore Illuminati going on, right? Great. I'm glad I could be a part. Wait, what did you just send me, Chucky? Yes, I have that picture, Chucky. We got it. We're good. Let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guest on. I know you gals are plotting. Yep, it's good though. I'm happy to see it. I'm glad alliances are being formed here on the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Let me get the banners off. Everybody, get off. Where's my intro? Here we go. Very excited. Today's guest is a high school teacher and author born and raised in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, where as part of the early 1980s local hardcore scene, she was a show promoter, band manager, and fanzine writer. Her new book, I'm Not Holding Your Coat, is now available for pre-sale through Bazillion Points. Coming at us from lovely Revere, Massachusetts, please welcome our old friend, Nancy Barile. Hey.
Hi there.
How are you?
So far, so good.
All right. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. Just take my lead.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So what's the latest? Like, we're going to get into all the teaching stuff, but like, what happened? How did your life change when the zombie apocalypse started? And like, what's going on? Like, quickly, like, sort of when it hit, and as a teacher.
I mean, as a teacher, we had to go to remote learning right away. And so I had to learn all kinds of new programs, Google Classroom, all this stuff, Luckily, I picked things up pretty quickly, and I have good colleagues who helped me, through it. So that was tough, And probably the toughest thing is just, being home with Al 24/7 all the time. Like we have a small house, and so there's there's if you follow me on Facebook, there's always a story. So
yeah, and so you know what? Let's skip around. Let's go where the horse leads us. Hey Nancy, I love the name of the book. Did you come up with the name?
Yeah, I had a little bit of a longer name, like it was like a question. You want me to hold your coat? Like, no, like whatever. And then, I was talking to Glenn Friedman, and he, Glenn, he's like, what is this? This title's too long. Cut it down. You need to make it, I'm not holding your coat. And I was like, oh yeah, like that's great, So it was really Glenn who came up with the shorter, more punchy thing. I'm an English teacher. I'm wordy, so
yeah.
But he really punched it up, so it was great. And then the little subtitle thing, there's a lot of injuries in the book, so bruises and all, memoir.
And listen, we're gonna get into this in depth in a little bit, but this is the first time I'm gonna put it up that it is. I'm Not Holding Your Coat. Nancy's book is available on www.bazillionpoints.com. It's available for pre-sale, correct?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
It'll ship next week.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I can't believe it's finally happening. It's a long process.
Yeah, I understand. So tell us, where did you grow up? How did you grow up? How did music come into your life?
So I grew up in a suburb of Philadelphia, upper white, middle class kind of suburb. I went to private school. My dad was a Marine. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, pretty much like a very Leave It to Beaver, except for the Marine Italian part kind of thing. Life, and music was always important to me. I didn't realize it till I wrote the book how much jukeboxes played a role in my life. You'd go to the sandwich shop, you play the jukebox. I belonged to a swim club. You played the jukebox and you dance. And that's where I got a lot of my music. You'd hear a song and you'd want to do it. It was also a good identifier, like if somebody played a song that you liked, then you knew like they were sort of into the same thing. So I always liked the darker side of music. I can remember 5 years old hearing House of the Rising Sun and, you know, just being like, whoa, wait a, you know, I was like 5, you know, but I knew there was a darker side of music, you know, seeing the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, and then a couple weeks later seeing the Rolling Stones and saying, is this something a little different here, you know, even as a really young child. So those were my, you know, we had record player, you know, the whole deal. And
now let me ask you about this. What's happening here?
Yeah, so as a cheerleader, you know, I always wanted to be, you know, I always wanted to be a contributor, you know, and so
you're a great team player.
Yeah, I'm a good team player, and so I was a cheerleader, and you know, it was a lot of fun when I was doing it. I really liked it. You know, it taught me team playing, and it taught me like how if you practice a lot at something, you get good at it. You know, because I don't think I was a natural born cheerleader kind of thing, you know. And of course cheerleading back then wasn't quite what it is today. Like
what school is this?
This was at St. Titus.
St. Titus.
Yeah, St. Titus. Yeah. So, you know, it was a lot of fun, and I loved all my friends that were on the team, and you know, we had a great sisterhood, and it was great. It was a really fun experience back in the day.
Yeah.
So
And I did pick out. I did figure. You said, "Can you see where I am?" I said, "Yeah, that's you." As we're looking to the right of the teacher with that smile.
Yeah,
you know?
that's me. Yep, there I am.
Yeah, top next to the teacher. Yep, there you go. Was there like, at what point did another thing I want to ask you. You are related to Ben Franklin, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. You know, that was something that was always family mythology from my grandmother on my mother's side growing up. You know, we're related to Ben Franklin, and I never really believed it until one day my mom and I were in an old cemetery, and she pointed out some relatives. They had the middle name Franklin. So this was like 2000. It was about 1999, I guess. And we paid the Philadelphia Historical Society to do the research through the Daughters of the American Revolution. And it turned out I'm an 8th generation Ben Franklin grandchild, directly descended from his daughter, Sally.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I could, you know, felt that, man, when I was walking the streets of Philly. You know?
That's, you know, like, wow.
Yeah, he's a cool founding father. Like, if you got to be related to one of the founding fathers, you know, he always recognized his mistakes, and he would always cut down authority, you know, if they got out of hand. So
yeah, he was like he was an interesting character. Yeah. He had his hand in a lot of things.
He did. He is, you know, very multi-talented.
Absolutely. So how did heavy and hard music come into your life? I know Rolling Stones, this and that, but at what point was there like this sort of, oh wow, like how did you get exposed to the heavy stuff?
Yeah, I had some older friends that, you know, introduced me to, you know, Bowie and that, and then that kind of led into Iggy Pop and the Ramones. And, you know, I love that stuff. And Philly was a great place if you liked that kind of music, because all the bands stopped there on you know, on tour. And so, you know, just, you know, gradually seeing more the Cramps and bands like that. And then I guess I saw Black Flag, you know, with Dez as singer, and at City Gardens in Trenton.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and then that's kind of when I was like, I like this. This is like for me. And like at the time, you know, a lot of my girlfriends were like, oh, you know, that's a boys club, like, you know, but I just love that physicality, and I love that energy, and I love that anger. It kind of spoke to me as a disenfranchised, you know, rebellious teenager. And so that's, you know, that was, I just really gravitated, you know, and then I saw the Bad Brains and forget it. It was done, you know, that was it.
I got I got a Bad Brain shot of you with them. Let me see here. Let's talk about this a little bit. I know that we're skipping around, but there you are.
You can see it, you know. You can see the look on my face, right? You know,
Daryl, Jennifer, and HR, and it was this. Yeah, Rick says Bad Brains ruined us all.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You know, Bad Brains were a big part of it, but you know, Black Flag was a big part of it too. Mm-hmm. Black Flag with Dez, and then the first go round they did with Henry. that was really something else, you know?
I'm with you on that 100%, you know, and I can remember I was in the back. This is at the Elks in Philly, and I was in the back because I was with Zeke Zagar.
Oh, watch your mic.
Sorry.
It's rubbing on your necklace
Gotcha,
there.
gotcha.
Yeah,
so I was with little Zeke Zagar, Isaiah Zagar, the artist's son.
Yeah, Zeke, of course.
Yeah. He was there, and his friend Jeff, and I just didn't want them to get hurt, so I was kind of hanging out with them. But I heard the first few notes of Big Takeover, and man, I was like right up front. And, you know, I do think the look on my face in this photo, which I only saw 2 years ago, you know, I reconnected with a friend from Philly, and she's like, I got a picture of you at the Bad Brains. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you have this shot, you know?
It's awesome when these things come up.
I love it.
Like,
yeah. You know,
you know, in the world we live in now, it's like stuff comes up like, there I am 40 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
It's great. And tell us a little bit about what the Elk Center was.
So the Elk Center was this great, it was at 16th and Fitzwater, and it used to be, it was a fraternal order for Black people who weren't allowed to be in the white Elks. And so it had a rich history that I didn't learn about until much later. Jazz performances, boxing matches, basketball tournaments, even Bessie Smith's funeral was there. And so some friends of ours had done a show with Bauhaus there. And when I went, I was like, wow, what a cool place this is. It had these big high windows, a high stage, you know, it was a really cool place. And I was like, I want to do shows here. And so I was managing the Sadistic Exploits at the time, and we decided we wanted to do an all ages show. So of course, that's at Black Flag right there. That's me with the blonde hair in the front. You can see Becky Reck there.
Becky Reck
She went on to drum for Lunatics.
I love, we love how like Nancy Mohawk, like you know, Becky Reck.
Yeah, I don't even know her real name, you know.
Nancy Mohawk, like, you know, Joe Dust.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like that.
And that's Neil from Why Die, Big Tall Dave in the background. Yeah. There's a lot of really cool people in that photo. But I love this photo because you don't often see so many punks smiling at a show, you know. Everybody's got a huge smile on their face at this show. And it was it was an incredible show. It was one of the best. Henry wasn't, had just gotten into the band. And
did you promote this show?
Yeah, I did, with a guy named Lee Paris, who was a WXPN DJ at the time.
Wow.
And and they played with Saccharine Trust, so that was great.
Cool. I remember that tour.
Yeah, it was really cool.
But what I like is, though, even though you promoted the show, you're in the front.
I'm in the front. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Absolutely. Almost always up in the front, with my other friend, Allison. I don't know where she is, because in the video, you can see her right next to me. And we always say, like, the number of boots we took in the head that night is, definitely directly related to our cognitive limitations these days, So.
Yeah. That reminds me of this one, which is sort of a battle scar from boom, what's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know which black eye that is, because I have several, and that's Adam Baum from Philly's Decontrol next to me. I took a punch in the face at the SOA Black Flag show from a DC Skin. I did a stage dive at the Dead Kennedys at City Gardens. It was a double stage dive with Chuck Meehan, who's a Philly legend. And he kind of cleared everybody out, and I landed on my head. So it could have been that. It could have been anything. But I'm not sure which one it is. But
and the big question is, do you still have that leather jacket?
No, I sold that when I moved to Boston. Yeah, I needed to make enough money so I could move to Boston. I was quitting my job and whatever, and that I sold my boots. I had really cool, like, engineer boots, and I had that jacket, and I sold it. And I had that jacket, so crazy, because you couldn't buy clothes that you wanted back then. And I went to this old Philly leather maker in, like, North Philly, and I was like, I want a jacket that looks like this. He was like, I got you, and he made me this jacket. So that's the Sadistic Exploits, the band that I used to manage. That's a photo by my friend Lisa Hahn, who's amazing.
A great shot.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You know, I don't even know where that was, in whose house that was or whatever. But, you know, those guys are all great. I still keep in touch with all of them except Pedrick, who's second from the left. I think he's out in California, but Brian, Robbie, Miguel, all still my friends, and like just the best guys you could ever want to meet, you know, really great people.
And when you were managing them back in the day, they used to come up to New York and play, and
Yes.
that's where you know. And back then, it's like, you know, people always sort of like people love to touch on that, like, oh, the beef and all that. But early on,
No beef.
There was nothing.
There was no beef.
Everybody loved everybody.
Everybody loved everybody. Yeah, that was sort of my scene.
Yeah.
Was everybody loved everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like little schisms and competitiveness.
Yeah.
You know, like in the pit and stuff, but it was all pretty fun. You know, our beef was usually with locals and cops, and not with each other. And so I always appreciated that. So yeah, that's where, you know, when I went up there, that's where I met, you know, Jimmy G and Chris Cherokee and John Watson. Yeah, there's Chris right there. That's my friend Allison. You can see Claudette in the background. Jimmy just posted that recently. Had never seen that photo before, you know, and I just love it. I loved Chris. Those guys were great. They'd come and visit in Philly. You know, they came down one time for Crucial Truth show. Just, you know, yeah. When Crucial Truth played Philly, they they came for the show. The Mob, because the Mob played too, and that was one of our shows that we did. And you know, huge, just like, oh my God, just talk about laugh all weekend. And like, you know, the funniest story of that is I lived in a studio apartment, like a little tiny 1-room place, and we had spray painted my entire wall. And somehow when they came down I think they came from the train, they had this giant American flag. And my little brother called me like Saturday morning, and he was like, yo, you need to get those guys out of your house. Dad's coming down and bringing you an air conditioner, because it was July and it was hot.
Because if the ex-Marine,
oh no, he would not. They were just friends. He would not have understood. So I was like, all right, you guys, you know, you got to get out, you know, giving him money, go get lunch or whatever. But I didn't know what to do.
Good for him.
Yeah,
Dad.
yeah. And so I was like, you know, what are we going to do about we spray painted the whole wall, you know? And so we decided we'd put the flag up, you know, so we put the flag covered exactly the size of the wall.
Nice.
And so my dad came in, he was like, oh, I love the American flag, you know? I was like, yeah, cool, Dad, you know? And he gave me an air conditioner, which was great.
Listen, you know, you had to move on your feet there. Tell us about this infamous Black Flag SOA show in Kensington. And I know the drama sort of lasted through the Dead Kenny show after that, but that's some crazy shit. Tell the people out there about like that whole thing.
Yeah, so you know, they had done some shows. It was David Carroll, who used to run the Hot Club. He started doing shows in Kensington, and it was a rough white neighborhood of Philly, like really rough white neighborhood.
Now just for the uninitiated, Kensington, is it a suburb of Philly?
It's like a neighborhood of Philly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, but it's still Philadelphia, you know. So you take a short L ride to get to it, you know. So, and I had gone there a couple of times and saw some bands. Susie and the Banshees played there, and you know, nothing happened, you know.
Right.
But the night that we went there for SOA, like there was a tension in the air that I definitely felt, you know.
Was it just SOA?
It was SOA and Black Flag and autistic behavior, and like one other Philly band.
Black Flag was headlining?
Black Flag was headlining, yeah.
Was this with Des? This was with obviously
it was still Des. It was still
right.
Des, but Henry ended up singing 6 songs with them that night.
Wow.
Yeah, so SOA played and whatever. So a lot of DC kids came down.
Right.
And like we tried to warn them, like, you know, like, be careful, you know, you're not in Kansas right now, you know, but like, you know, Ian and I talked about this, you know, many years later, and there were a lot of DC kids there that were drunk, and they started, you know, kind of popping off with some of the local kids. And then some young local kids ran in, punched some DC kids and ran out. Now Ian's on the stage and he recognizes the setup when he sees it. And he's like, don't go out, don't go out. But they all ran out, right? And when they did, it was just the entire neighborhood waiting with bats, lead pipes, everything. And, you know, they sort of, you know, shut it off. So you either had to run deeper into the neighborhood or back through this line of kids. And, you know, DC kids got beat up pretty bad, like stitches, concussions, hospital level.
That's like something out of the Warriors.
Yeah,
right?
it absolutely. And I remember that night, because when I was at the train station, I'm hiding between two cars, waiting for the elevated train, like waiting for the Turnbull ACs to not come and get me, you know?
Wow.
Make deals with God. Like, I'll go to law school. Like, I'll do whatever you want. Just get me out of here alive, you know? And, you know, so then the cops did come, but they really didn't do anything, as was typical of our experience back then. You know, the thing that upset me was that you figured all the punks would be on one side, but it wasn't like that. The DC punks didn't differentiate between Philly punks and locals. The locals didn't differentiate between Philly and DC. And so just everybody was like, it was like mayhem. It was a very dangerous thing. So Ian has his 1970 Duster, and you know, the cops are like, all right, we're leaving in 10 minutes, so you got to make a decision what you're doing here. So everybody starts leaving. Ian goes to start his car and it's dead. And it's dead. And so he's like, holy shit, you know. So he says to the cops, like, you got to help me, man, you can't leave me here, you know. And finally convinced them to give him a jump start so that he could make it out of town. And the car ended up dying, like on the highway somewhere. They had to spend the night in a park in Philly, you know, but you know, it was bad.
Ian Mackay, someone's asking. Yes. The Ian you're referencing is Ian.
Ian Mackay. Yeah. And so like and so I took a punch to the face that night, you know, I got knocked out. I always carried mace with me back then. And I can remember just like macing everybody till I could get to the door and get the hell out of there, you know? Yeah. I was like, don't look at, you know, anybody looks at me, they're getting maced, you know? And so, you know, it was really bad. Like John Stab talked about it and Sab Gray talked about it. Sab was there. You can ask him. He, you know, kids got 22 stitches in their head. You know, and they were, you know.
And what set all this off? Just listen.
Just the locals did not want us.
You know what? Why even ask?
Yeah, exactly.
It was 1981.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the same thing we talked about when Eugene Robinson was on the show about the Staten Island riot. Yeah. It's like the Coogee. It's like, forget it.
Yeah, you know, we were in their neighborhood and they didn't have much. All they had were their friends, their neighborhood, and that was it. Yeah. And they didn't want anyone to infiltrate it or colonize it or whatever, you know. And so, you know, they ran us off pretty good. I was stupid enough to go back a year later for the dead Kennedys, and that's when they threw a bomb at us. After that, so you know, dead Kennedys were playing. Another really hot night. I was sitting on the steps out front with my little brother, and I saw a car pull up real slow. And, you know, by that time I had gotten a little bit of street sense, you know, and I said to my brother, I didn't like the look of the car. I thought they were going to do a drive-by shooting. So I grabbed my brother mid-sentence. We went running. And then I heard this unbelievable explosion. It was a stick of dynamite in a glass jar with ball bearings and BBs in it. Oh. So a girl got her heel blown up. And then people have ball bearings and BBs in their arms and their legs and stuff, you know. We run back to the safety of the club, and, you know, Jello's up there, you know, saying like, did you ever feel you're on the sinking ship, you know? And I was like, just get me the fuck out of here, you know.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. Like, I go into more depth in my book, you know, but it was, you know, it was a very, very scary time. I made a vow I'd never return. That's a promise I kept. I've never been back, you know. Nuts.
Yeah, that's scary. And so you start promoting shows. You're managing the sadistic exploits.
Yeah.
Let me see if I have. Oh yeah, I like this picture here. You know, I like this. I like this one because it brings back memories of gals with crimped hair.
Oh God. You know, I never met a crimping iron I didn't love. And I worked the crimping iron, the big ones, straight through to like the beginning of the 90s, you know. Angie Sharappa took that picture in my apartment. You know, she was taking photography classes. and she needed like a subject. So, I was a willing participant.
Oh, Gina says she still crimps. I
Oh,
still
yeah.
crimp.
Yeah, I like crimps. I
We
always
all-
did. Like,
Everyone had one. Yeah,
yeah,
I dated a gal that was a big crimper, and
yeah.
boy, the crimping process could take. Before we went out, I'd be sitting there waiting. It would take
Yeah.
a half hour before we could.
Oh, yeah. It was
Oh
it was a
God.
long process, but
Yeah.
it was cool.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
cool back then, or I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Let me see what it goes, because I hate when I hate when we don't get to photos. I like this one too. Where was this one? And who's in the photo with you here?
I'm scared to look. Okay, so that's at CBGB's, and that's of course Harley in the front. I'm not sure who's in the back. When I knew Harley, he was a little kid. Throwing ice cubes down my shirt. Really fun guy. And someone had just obviously given us bubble gum, because if you look, every Carly has bubble gum, I have gum, and the kid in the back does too. So, I just, I don't know what show it was at. I think Allison Schnackenberg took that photo. So
yeah, and I guess back then, of course, bands came up from Philly all the time.
All the time, yeah.
I mean, the legendary. I mean, the one really legendary Philadelphia band, hardcore band that resonates is Why Die.
Why Die? Yeah, they came along a little later. Once we knew where CB's was and Irving Plaza and clubs like that, we'd come up. I made a vow the first time I saw the Bad Brains. I'm going to see this band wherever they play in a tri-state area region. I will be there, and I would go and see them wherever they played. If it was CB's, Irving, wherever it was, I would go. And I can remember some nights, coming home. I worked at a law firm back then, and I'd be putting my pantyhose on in the elevator to go to work, like after just getting dropped off. So that's with Allison Schnackenberg. She's my best friend at the time. In the dressing room, or backstage at CBGB's, right there. It's I think I have crimped hair in that one too.
And I like, and there's the jacket,
Yeah, and there's my jacket with Crisis and Antiposti and Cress and TSOL and
that's cool. So we're gonna one other thing that we gotta get into was this legendary show that you had a hand. I believe you had a hand in putting this together.
Let me see. Oh yes. Okay. So that's it was Allison and Ron Thatcher and some more Philly kids. We wanted to replicate Sean Stern's BYO model. We liked what he was doing. And, we wanted to bring everybody together. And so this was right, like little tiny schisms were starting. And, we wanted to kind of bring everybody together for a hardcore love fest. So we decided that we were going to have a band from every single place on the East Coast, So we had the two Philly bands, Crib Death and Flag Democracy. It was their Flag Democracy's first show. Nice. We got Agnostic Front, and that was either their first show or damn near close.
And let's interject. Who was singing for Agnostic Front?
Oh, John Watson was singing for Agnostic Front back then. Right. He's a very good friend of mine. Love that dude. Yep. And then we had SSD. I had just started like dating Al at the time, and then Minor Threat, and I didn't get the venue. I don't know who did. Allison was just like, "Oh, we found this great place. It's a fire hall. It's in Camden. Camden's only right across the bridge. Camden. Yeah.
Keyword. Keyword. Wait, hold on.
I know. We were,
Camden.
Al said to me beforehand, he's like, "Don't bring me to a war zone." I was like, "It'll be fine." I had bombs.
Camden.
I had riots, and I was at the Staten Island riot. Like everything was rough back then,
Camden,
and so I didn't have perspective.
Patterson.
Yeah, I didn't have perspective. Right. So, the legendary story, we pull up to the club, and I got out to find out where to load the equipment in. And I looked down the street and I saw this crazed person, a crazy look in their eyes, driving in a station wagon like hell. And Ian had coming over to talk to Al at the window. And I was like, this guy's not stopping. This guy's going to hit them, And then Ian was smart enough, he's a skateboarder, so he jumped. And luckily he did, because he probably would have been killed. Sneakers blew off. Al's van was smashed head on. You know, Ian's down in the street where I'm like, what the fuck, you know, just happened, you know? And so, you know, someone took Ian to the hospital. We had a license number. The cops brought the guy back, the guy who hit, and he said his car was stolen, but then apparently returned to his driveway, you know? And cops made it very clear we did not want to return to Camden to, you know, do anything. And so I go into the club, and my friend Allison is sitting there with like 8 of the scariest looking black biker dudes I've ever, they look like something out of a comic strip, scary, you know? And I was like, Allison, can I talk to you for a minute? You know? And she's like, you know, this is, you know, this is the Ghetto Riders. They're, you know, division of Wheels of Soul out of Atlantic City. And they're going to do security tonight for us because kids were getting jumped and beat up and robbed on the way to the venue. And their clubhouse was right next door. And, you know, Allison is very charming, and they succumbed right away to her, and, you know, inimitable charms. And so what they did was they put the word out on the street that it was a riders party at Buff Hall that night. And when they did that, all the attacks stopped. And they said, wow, don't go outside. Whatever you do, don't go outside. And at one point it got so goddamn hot, I went outside, and somebody threw like a double D battery, hit me right in the ribs. I thought I was shot. You know, I was like, did I just get shot? And I stayed back inside after that. And so there was a lot of, you know, like, is the show even going to go on? Like, what's going to happen? And
it was minor threat.
It was minor threat. And there were some members of minor threat were like, let's get in the fucking car and go home, you know, but Ian said that the show will go on. And, you know, there's video of that show. You know, it was probably one of the greatest hardcore shows of all time. I'm very proud to be associated with it. You know, it was, you know, there I am. See, there's Al, you know, there's that smile.
There's that smile, that cheerleader smile.
That cheerleader smile. And that's, you can see John Watson right in the front there. Just an incredible show. Every band brought their A game. Like, you never saw like so much, you know, awesomeness on stage in one place. You know, I don't think I ever did. You know, to me, it was just an incredible show, you know. And then I didn't know what
on the left.
Yeah. Al was, you know, the van was smashed. We couldn't drive it. They had to pick it up and put it at the curb. I didn't know what to do, you know. So I called my dad at like 2:30 in the morning from the Buffalo office, because I knew he'd know what to do, you know. I was like, Dad, my boyfriend from Boston. He's like, your boyfriend from Boston? They didn't know I had a boyfriend from Boston, you know. I was like, his van got smashed.
How old were you at this point? 19?
I was 21.
21.
Yeah, and Al's 2 years younger than me, so he's a little bit younger. So I was 21 or 22, yeah. And my dad was so cool. He's like, have the van towed to my house in Norristown. I'll take care of everything. But I was worried about my parents' meat now, you know. He had a shaved head, which you've mentioned many times. People did not have shaved heads back then. And it was bleeding and bloody because he hit the windshield. And, you know, I tell the story in the book, like, he and my dad are unloading the van, and my dad takes out like 6 baseball bats, and he's like, oh, are you on a baseball team, Al? You know? And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, get me out of here, you know?
Yeah, we're the baseball furies.
Yeah, they're the baseball furies, right? So, but like, my parents took care of everything, and then we went back to Philly. I'd given somebody the keys to my 1-room apartment. The entire Boston crew was, you know, spread out all over the floor there. Al and I had to sleep in the bathroom. And then I rented them a U-Haul. You know, like back then you had to look in the yellow pages, right? And I was like, and they gave us a truck that was, the cargo part of it was separate from the front, no lights, no air, nothing, you know. But through Jake, all those guys in the back, and Paul, and, you know, and they just rode back up to Boston, you know. Everybody was fine.
I remember those things. Yeah, absolutely. So let's, before we take a break, let's talk a little bit about how'd you make the jump from Philly to Boston? How'd that happen?
So after I met Al at Staten Island, you know, in person. We talked on the phone first because I bought the kids will have their say. And I was like, oh my God, this band's freaking unbelievable. You know, I got to get them to do a show in Philly. So I called the number that was on the record, right? It said SSD Control wants to play your town, right? And I ended up talking to Al for like 4 hours on the phone, which was really expensive back then, if you recall, you know? And I was like, wow, I really like this dude. You know, he's really cool. We knew a lot of the same people, you know? And at the end of the call, he said, we're playing Staten Island. How about I put you on the guest list, you know? And I was like, cool, you know? So I got somebody to drive up there, and I met Al, and then we got separated after the riot there.
The other,
I mean, that riot was small compared to most riots that I was in, you know.
Like, but rioting was a constant.
Yeah, it was just, you know, you just kind of got you. I remember like coming home and pulling glass out of my hair in the car on the way home and stuff.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, you know. So then we were seeing each other. We met in New York. We saw MDC, Beastie Boys show in New York, and you know, we decided we like each other. So he was like, "Well, one of us has to move," you know. And he had at the time, he was a machinist at GE and had a pretty decent job. And, you know, I didn't have a career in Philly. Like I was, you know, I was working at a law firm. And so I said, I'll move, you know, so I moved. And then, you know, once I did, you know, that was it. I got an apartment in Fenway. Jamie took me to get an apartment, and I, you know, ended up going back to school. Al went back to school, you know, and I got my teaching degree, and here I am.
Yeah, we'll get into the teaching stuff, but I remember when you first came to Boston, and I used to have this great picture. I somewhere in the shifting sands of time, I lost it, but I had a party in my apartment on St. Paul.
Remember this?
And you were there. You and Al showed up, and you were in a bunch of the pictures. But you know how it goes, like yeah, you know how it goes, like. You know, years ago, you look through the pictures and you're sort of like, I'll never need, you know, like, I don't need to, you know, and now I just wish, you know, I don't know how it is, but you were in a bunch of the pictures there on St. Botolph Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the show we went to see? I can't even remember who we went to see, but we went to see somebody at the Rat. And I forget what band it was, but you conked your head hard on the pole there. And I mean, you were really injured. You know, you were bleeding, you were bloody. I was like, Drew, you need to go to the hospital. You're like, I'm fine.
Yeah,
you wouldn't go.
You know what? I do remember that now. If I remember correctly, it was a show at the Rat. It was while Gang Green was playing.
Yeah,
and the Rat had a like a brick pillar.
Yeah,
a square brick pillar.
Yeah,
in the middle of the dance floor, and I had my head down. And I was tearing it up, and I went head first into hit the corner of this.
Oh yeah, you really.
And it opened up my head, and I was bleeding. And Phil and Flash has all these pictures of me in front of the Rat with blood.
Oh no kidding! I'd like to see those. Yeah,
Phil has those. And then I remember I finally went to the hospital.
Oh, did you go? Good.
And they stitched me up, and I just remember. The sound of the catgut squeaking as they were tying my scalp. Oh
yeah, because you really nailed it, you know. And you were mad. You were like mad that like your injury wasn't more nobly earned, you know. Like you wanted it, you know, you wanted to be like a fight or like a stage dive or something. You're kind of mad that you trashed it on a pole, you know.
Okay, so let's get into this now. I want to show this picture, and then let's not comment on the first picture. Wait until I put up the second, okay?
Okay.
So here is picture number 1. Okay?
Okay.
Everybody got this? I mean, obviously, you know, we all know what this is, right? And this is from that day. And then let me put up the other one. And then you give us the commentary, because I was there, and this was another crazy day. Okay, boom. Protesters break up Klan rally in Boston. This was in the New York Times, Sunday, October 17th, 1980. And there you are in the picture. Tell us about it.
And there I am. So it was my first time ever in Boston. I flew in. I flew in the night before. I had never even been on an airplane before. I was scared to death. I was staying at the Bradford Hotel. We went over to the Commons where all the kids were doing speed runs on their skateboards. And Jake Phelps said, you know, did you hear the KKK is going to be at Boston City Hall? I was like, what? So we were like, well, fuck that. We're protesting, you know?
Right.
So the next day, I rode Al's bike down. He skateboarded. And, you know, we went there and like, it was a long time waiting. I didn't think they were going to show up, you know, but they did, you know, and it was mayhem when they did. And I lost Al in the mayhem. And then that fight broke out in front of me. And you can tell in the picture, like I was ready to jump in. There's a guy holding me back, you know. So I don't know what I thought I was going to do. Maybe break it up or something. I don't know, you know.
Here's a third picture. There's some water damage to this, but here's the third picture. And in this picture, the melee, the fights broke out, and everybody's sort of like running over there to get in on it. And that was a crazy day.
It was a really crazy day. And then when I got home, one of my punk friends was like, yo, you were in the New York Times. I was like, what? And they, you know, because I didn't read the New York Times back then, you know, like I'm surprised they even saw it. And had cut the thing out, you know, and I was like so scared my parents were going to see it because I don't think they even knew I was in Boston that day, you know. So, yeah, I was like, my opinion of Boston was a little skewered after that, you know, but.
Welcome to Boston.
Yeah,
huh?
you know, and I, you know, now when I post that, like my students, they love that. They're like, wow. I'm like, yeah, I've been fighting that shit since 1982. Like, I cannot believe I'm still fighting that crap, you know. It really, really pisses me off, you know.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. I remember I was there too. You know, it was like, yo, the Klan thinks that they're gonna, you know, put on a thing in Boston. Yo, that ain't happening. And we all went down there looking for trouble, and we found it.
And we found it, yeah. But they, you know, the cops took them away for their safety. They had a lot of little kids with them and stuff, which really freaked me out. The little kids in the hoods and stuff. Like,
it was weird, man.
Yeah, it was
women.
Really,
I remember there was women.
Women there.
It was weird, man. It was
disturbing, you know.
Yeah. That was
still fighting, you know. We went to one about 2 years ago. We went to a rally that was supposed, you know, they'd said Klan members and Proud Boys and like people like that were going to show up on Boston Common. And I went with a bunch of my female teacher friends, you know, and Al wasn't real nuts about me going, you know, but I went anyway. And then he showed up. Al showed up, and he's the only person that ran into a Nazi that day. And because I didn't see any the whole time I was there, you know. And somebody said, hey, she's my teacher. Who the heck was that?
No, I wish she was my teacher.
Oh, okay. Jesus, I thought it was one of my kids. I was dying. So Al had, you know, Al got into it with some guy and like was like going to pound him out. And the cops came and took the guy away. He was tormenting women and children, you know, and Al wasn't having it. So,
by the way, those KKK pictures from that day were taken by the photographer Liz Chapman, who was a part of our scene back then.
Yep.
She contributed some photos to the film I directed, XXX All Ages, XXX, the Boston hardcore film, available on Amazon Prime right now. So that said, let me go shout out some sponsors and stuff, and we'll come back and we'll talk about teaching, we'll talk about the book, and we'll talk about a little minor thread at the channel, huh?
Excellent.
Okay. Right on. You know what this is, and you know why we are here. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, Chain Reaction Records and Skateboards, and Your Core Hardcore fan page, and Organic Grill. Organic Grill is a vegan restaurant located in the East Village of New York City at 123 First Avenue. Featured in New York Magazine, the New York Times, and Veg News. Their dishes have won numerous awards, including Best Veggie Burger. They make their own cheeses, sausages, and burger patties, and every dish on the menu can be made gluten-free. This year, they're celebrating their 20th anniversary, and they're all about having a great time while enjoying amazing, clean food. After 3 months of being closed, they're now open for deliveries. Get in touch with them and order some great food at www.theorganicgrill.com. Listen, I was down there the other night. It was awesome. And Vlad took care of us, me and my Polish supermodel girlfriend. It was awesome. Organic grill is just yummy. Just yummy. What can I say? Also, while we're at it, while we're crack-a-lacking, Chain Reaction Records and Skateboards, located in Lakewood, Colorado, is the Rocky Mountain headquarters for all things punk, hardcore, and metal. Established in 2014, they have the largest selection of records, CDs, shirts, stickers, patches, and accessories between Chicago and LA. From the pit to the ditch, they got your back. Get in touch with them at www.chainreactionrecords.com. Thank you, Josh. We love you, bro. What else? You know what? I got to mention a couple of upcoming shows. Sunday, December 27th. Let me clear the deck here. Hold on. Clear the deck. What the heck? Coming up. Sunday, December 27th, by popular demand. Speaking of organic, we got John Joseph coming on the show. Musician, author, and Ironman triathlete. JJ will be on the show. And like we said before, listen, we're going to talk to John Joseph about a lot of stuff. Chances are we're not going to get too much into the Cro-Mag stuff because at this point, who really wants to hear this shit anymore? So we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. We'll touch on it, but come on. Then, Sunday, December 30th, from Lamb of God, we have Randy Blythe coming on. Looking forward to that. Then, then of course, come on now, Crucified for Your Sins, like Nancy Barile said, from Iron Cross. Sunday, January 3rd, Sab Gray will be on the show, talking some old school DC hardcore. I mean, the whole thing with Iron Cross, like, was Iron Cross a hardcore band? I don't know. We'll talk about it. They were certainly from that scene. Oh, here's a show. You're here, and this is on Wednesday, January 6th. Haven't made this public yet. How about Jesse Leach from Killswitch Engage is coming on the show. So looking forward to having Jesse on the show. Killswitch Engage, great band. Looking forward to that. And last but not least but not last, from Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn represent. Here we go. From Maximum Penalty, January 10th, Mr. Joe Affey will be on the show. So there you go. It is all going down. Got a lot of great shows lined up. So, a lot happening with the show, right? A lot going on. Lots of shows, a lot going on. The 100th show's been booked. Getting ready to do that. Snappy Joe Affey. Hey, Lenny, Yep, Jesse, they're all coming on the show. Hey, Joel, what do you say, man? Hope you're well. May, I friggin' love MP. That's right. Squash the beef. Get the original Cro-Mags back together. You got a better chance of seeing God, brother. Yeah, that's your boy Affey. For sure. What else? What else do I need? We're going to do questions. If you had a real burning desire for a question, because sometimes I can't get to them all. Sometimes I can't get to them all. Sometimes I can't get to them all. We have a super chat. If you want to pony up $2 or $5 or whatever it is and do a super chat, I guarantee you that'll catch my eye and we'll ask that question. So, yeah, you got a better chance of seeing SSD get back together. That said, what else? I think I covered everything else. Subscribe to the page right there. Afterwards, buy some merch, including the Do Good Things, the Good Things Will Come to You line of Moich. Women in the Pit on Facebook. Our friends, get up on there, all you gals. There's another page on Facebook, the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live Comments Crew page that our friend Upstate Rick started. I think that's, follow me on Instagram too, you bums. Where's my Instagram? Yeah, there's my Instagram. if you have one of these communication devices and you would like to know what's going on with the show, there it is, you bums. Also, as you know, there is a Patreon page. Patreon is our community within a community. Please don't be a Hatreon, join Patreon. That said, I want to shout out a couple of my recent patrons here on the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Brian Ramsey, thank you, bro. Thank you for your generous donation. I can't thank you enough, bro. Jamie Sharappa from SSD Control. Look, if Jamie Sharappa from SSD Control could support the show, you certainly can. Dana Nowitzki, Jacko Shumalainen. How do you pronounce that? I should post that. Everyone should take a crack at it. Jacko Sumalananian. Dino Core, GP, and Anja Bittners. I also want to shout out Devor Gajovic. So on PayPal. So there you go. That's what's up. Let me clear the deck. Let's bring Nancy back on. Hi.
Hi. I got to shout out my cousin Jack and Linny. They're watching. They're really cool, and they know my father, so they're like appalled by these stories, I'm sure.
Shouting out Jack and Winnie. What's up?
Lenny, yeah.
Is cousin Jack and Winnie? Are they in Philly?
Yeah, Jack. Yeah, they're down in Philly. And a funny story, when the Phillies won the World Series, right after that last out, like everybody ran in the street. There were millions of people there. I ran right into my cousin Jack.
Wow,
that's awesome. They're great people. Love them.
Lenny says my wife ordered the book. We're going to be fighting each other to see who gets to read it first.
Oh,
do your students know about your past and wonder will they be reading? And you wonder will they be reading your book and how do you feel about it if they do?
Yeah. So for the first 15 years, I kind of kept it secret. Al was in another band called Gage, and my students loved Gage and used to go to the shows. And so that was always a little weird, because I was afraid somebody get hurt or something, But I kept the punk rock thing quiet until one of my kids found that CBGB's picture on the internet. He's like, wow, this is you. You were a freak, And, and then I could confirm or deny. Right. So I was like, yeah, that's me. That was the best time of my life. And you guys should have so much fun. And so now, my kids are really, they're supportive. It's not their scene. It's not their music scene. But just recently in one of my Zooms, one of my students, Steve T, if you're listening, he was telling everybody buy the book. Miriam bought the book. All my kids are buying the book. And it's I don't know what they're going to think about it. I don't know if they'll enjoy it or whatever, but it just warms my heart so much that they want to support me like that, by doing that, by getting my book. So they're great. They know my activism because my activism is out there all the time, 24/7, in the classroom, out of the classroom, everywhere. So they know that.
Absolutely.
It is going to be in Europe. It already is in Europe, May 8th. You can still, I know it's in Germany. So yes, Bazillions is international, so it'll definitely be there.
Absolutely. Why did you gravitate to teaching?
See, now, I always wanted to be a teacher. From the time I went to school, I wanted to be a teacher. That was my thing. I used to teach everybody. I do play school in the neighborhood, all the kids, my brother, But my dad said, teaching was a dangerous job. Kids were wild, and it didn't pay enough money, So he was like, I want you to be a lawyer. So we agreed that I would go to school to be a paralegal. And so I went to school 2 years in Harrisburg during 3 Mile Island. That was crazy. And when I went to a law firm to get a job, I ended up doing word processing, which was computer work kind of. And I would have done anything. I just needed a freaking job. They were like, you want to do this? I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. Yeah, whatever you give it to me, I'll do it. And I did. And they were really cool, the people that I worked with. I made a lot of good friends. But when I moved back up to Boston, when I moved to Boston, Al decided to go back to school to get his mechanical engineering degree. And so I was like, well, if he's going back to school, so am I. And so I went back to school to get my teaching degree. And I didn't become a teacher until I was 36, which was probably best.
Wow.
And yeah.
Chico says she taught my daughter's mom.
Who's that, Chico? Tell me what the name is.
Yeah, Nancy wants to know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've mentioned this before on the show, and it always resonated with me about something Bob Dylan said many years ago about the sort of world that we live in, where like baseball players and sports people get paid millions and millions and millions of dollars, and yet someone that's teaching, you know, our kids struggling to get by. What a sad, you know, sort of imbalance that is.
I agree.
And sort of when you think about it in society, how, you know, this teachers are so undervalued in that regard, you know, and that always made sense with me. Now I know you teach English and language arts, film and writing, and you also teach a class on The Walking Dead, right?
Yes, I do. Yes.
And it's called Digesting The Walking Dead?
It is. Yes, that's my cheesy name for it.
You got to tell us.
Yeah.
About it.
So a couple of years ago, about 4 years ago, I had this kid in my sophomore class named Jordan. And, you know, Jordan was obsessed with The Walking Dead, so much so that he used to wear the leather Daryl vest with the wings on it. And he would constantly come into my room and be like, yo, Barile, do you watch The Walking Dead? And I was like, no, Jordan, I'm not into blood and guts and gore. I'm not watching The Walking Dead. And so he was the kind of kid I could engage him in class, but he wouldn't do any work at home. And so his grades started to tank. And so right around Thanksgiving, I like pulled him aside. I was like, dude, what do I need to do to get you to do your work at home? And he was like, Barile, if you watch The Walking Dead, I'll do my work. He goes, it's got all that shit you like in it. It's got symbolism and imagery and good plot line and character development. Like, you'll like it. So I was like, all right, I'll take you up on it. So at Thanksgiving, it took me like 5 tries to get through that first episode with the little girl and the gun and all that, you know.
Was it upsetting that it was gory?
Yeah, it's kind of not my thing, you know. And but by winter break, I had watched all 5 seasons that were available. And like, you know, the kid was right. You know, it had all that stuff that I did like in it. And all the kids in my class watched it. So on Monday mornings, we would have these conversations about symbolism and paradox and allegory, you know, and we would go deep. And Jordan was like, you know, we should have a class on this. And I was like, you know what? We should. And I went to my director that was, you know, a fan of the show. And she was like, if you're willing to write the curriculum for it, you can have this show. And so I did over the summer, and Jordan helped me, and he was like a consultant. My nephew was a consultant for me. And, you know, I didn't know if anybody would take it, but the first year, like 80 kids signed up. We had to run 2 sections of it.
Wow.
And it's been running ever since then. And it's a really cool class because I can use The Walking Dead as a platform to teach them everything from psychology, sociology, business, ethics, international relations, everything, and, you know, make them write a lot, and they love it because they like the show. And so it's it's really been it's been fun. So,
you know, I want to say this about The Walking Dead is that the first 5 seasons are very good. They're very palatable.
That's how I feel.
I'm a big fan of Frank Darabont, who was involved in the creation of the show. He directed the very first episode. Frank Darabont directed people ask me what is, if I have to pick one film, what is my favorite film? I get that as a filmmaker sometimes, you know, like, what's your favorite film? Frank Darabont directed my favorite film, The Shawshank Redemption.
Yep. Yeah.
And that film, that when people ask me, like, what's your favorite? It's The Shawshank Redemption. I know it's been on a million times, but that film is so touching. And that film just really
we do it in my film class. My kids love it.
Man,
you know?
I love that film. Really,
none of them have ever seen it before, which is like awesome. And like, they're like, film. What's this, Barile? You know, like, when was this made? You know, but then they love it. They love it too.
And so. I'm a big fan of him. And he directed that first episode, and he had a big hand in the first season. But then they pushed him out.
Yeah.
So Chucky, wait, someone, let me find that, about who your student was. I just saw it. Oh, here we go. Chico says, Christina
F.
of
Oh my
Revere.
God, that's
Christina
awesome.
F of Revere.
That's awesome. I know Christina F. Yeah, wow, great kid. Yeah, that's amazing.
Now
that's
I know,
awesome.
I know also, I mean, I know you love your kids, and I know you've garnered a couple accolades, and this must have been
cool, right?
This must have been a nice moment, huh? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so that was like the most random thing. So at my school, you know, we're a really good urban school. Our kids do well. And so a lot of people come in and they're, you know, they interview us, you know, all the time. Like, and so like my principal will be like, hey, this guy wants to talk to you about your Walking Dead curriculum or about this or that, you know? And so I'm like, cool, yeah, you know, whatever. Then like a year later, somebody said to me, and we have a new principal. They're like, well, the Boston Globe wants to talk to you about that interview you did. I was like, what interview? I had no idea, you know? And so it was like the hottest day of the year when they took this picture, you know? And yeah. And so, I mean, I got my mug on the front page, but it's really, you know, they do talk about my Walking Dead curriculum, but it's really about all the wonderful things that my school does, you know?
Awesome.
I just, you know, got the cool photo up there, which was, you know, pretty wild. That kid with my hand on his shoulder. Oh God, he and I used to fight like crazy. I love him. But yeah, it was a really neat experience because then like, you know, people come out of the woodwork when they see it. Like my professors from college were emailing me, and remember Richie Parsons posted it, and all these cool, you know, people. It was really nice.
And is this tied in with that? What is this?
No, this is something else. So I had a Bosnian Muslim student in 2002, a sophomore who, you know, had survived the genocide in his country.
Wow.
He was targeted because he was Muslim. He was a kid, he didn't do much in my class. And I saw him playing soccer and he was like really fast. So I pulled him aside one day and was like, dude, you know, what are you doing? You're failing my class. What's going on? And he's like, I'm only in school to play soccer and I'm dropping out and getting a job. And he tells me like this crazy story about his family and, you know, surviving a genocide. And like, I don't even know where Bosnia is because like Bosnia was Yugoslavia when I was a kid, you know? So I said, no, you're not dropping out. And furthermore, you're going to run track, you know? And he didn't even, you know, he thought track was cross. He's like, I'm not running through the woods. And I'm like, no, you'll be a sprinter, you know? And so sure enough, the kid starts running and he becomes a state and New England champion. He's ranked like 6th in the nation. We've got like letters from colleges. We ended up, he didn't go to school 1st to 7th grade because he was in a war. So we ended up, we send him to a prep school, right? So the only prep school I knew was Phillips Andover because my nieces went there, kind of not realizing it's like the most prestigious prep school in the world. We applied, he got in. He went to Wheaton College then, where he became a 5-time All-American, 2-time NCAA champion.
Wow.
He became, he was the NCAA Inspiration Award winner. And so long story short, he gets a job working for the federal government in DC and he's in a bar one night. And they say, his friends say, like, how'd you end up here? You know, and he was like, well, you know what? It was this teacher that helped me. So they said, well, you should nominate her for this Kennedy Center Inspirational Teacher Award.
Wow.
And he's like, what do I got to do? And he's like, kid goes, write, you know, look on the page. He had to write a 500-word essay. So the kid never tells me this. I get a thing in the mail saying in like February saying I'm a nominee for this big award, $10,000. You know, I'm like, I call him up. I'm like, Zoom. We call him Zoom. I was like, Zoom, what'd you do? He's like, oh, I had to write an essay. You know, I said, send me the essay. He ended up doing really well in school. He was in my AP class. He was a good writer. When I read the essay, I was like, oh, I think I won this thing, you know? And so I did. And I split the money with him because he's awesome. And I got to be on the field at Fenway, you know? And it was an incredible experience.
What's the mascot's name? Did someone just post that?
Oh God, I
Wally,
can't. Wally. Yeah. So Wally was there, and you know everybody was really nice to us. It was actually pouring rain. You can't tell there. It was
Right.
pouring rain. Al's off to the side. We were fighting because I was like, here, hold my pocketbook. And she's like, I'm not holding your pocketbook. I'm like, we're freaking going out on the field. Like,
I'm not holding your like you're bringing Al.
I'm not holding your coat, right?
You're bringing Al onto the field at Fenway Park, and you're like, hold my
purse. Yeah, right. That's perfect, right?
Hold the line, Al.
Yeah, exactly. But we had a great time. They gave us great seats, and we bought about $80 worth of food, and went nuts. And
our friend Chucky Perez says,
oh yeah, he knows.
When you began teaching at age 35, you chose a low-income urban area so that you can make a real difference by motivating even reluctant learners to go on and succeed. She describes her approach at Revere High School, Massachusetts, as teaching grit.
Yeah.
Tell us about teaching grit. What is that?
Yeah, well, like grit, you got to be careful with grit, because sometimes people will be like, all you need is grit to get ahead. And that's not necessarily true, because you know what? You need a level playing field. You need kids that have the exact resources that wealthier schools have, and you need a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
But I like to help my kids, kind of see their potential, and I guess, maybe one of the things would be like, I don't give up on kids, like I try to, Jamie's the same way, like our kids are just unbelievable. Like you couldn't pick better kids, I got a lot of offers to teach elsewhere. When I won another award, Oprah Winfrey called me and asked me to teach in South Africa. Like I would never leave Revere. I love
Right
Revere.
on.
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. The kids are great. People are great. Everybody's great.
That's really great. And as a side note, you got our friend Jamie Sharappa, who played bass in SSD Control. You got him into the teaching game as well, too, right? And he teaches in the same school as you.
Yeah, yes, he does. So he called me up after they moved back to California, and he was like, Nance, I might want to be a teacher, and he's like, can I come watch your class? And so he came in one day, watch my class. He was like, I want to be a teacher. So I was like, well, do what you need to do. So, I had to get some more courses and do some more coursework. And, then an opening opened up like a week before school started. And I was like, get your butt down here, like get in. And, he just does great. The kids adore him. Like, he wins in the yearbook. He always gets like, teacher that, most likely to talk to about a big problem. I forget what the exact title is, but kids just love Jamie. And then of course he has my back 24/7, which I love, because, I always get in trouble for different things. And so like, I'll go to him and he'll be like, Nancy.
Jamie has always had a great demeanor, even when we were teenagers.
Always.
He just seemed like, wise beyond his years.
Right.
I don't remember Jamie ever going out and doing any dumb shit.
No.
Like some of us, myself included, would really do some really stupid things. And Jamie was always wise beyond his years.
Yeah, Jamie's great. Like, I'll be like freaking out about different people at work. Jamie gets along with everybody. I'm like, that person's dead to me, and Jamie's like, oh, they're not so bad, like he loves everybody.
Well, he's listening. Now we embarrassed him.
He's the best. He's the best. And Angie, and who's better than Angie, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And
those two are incredible.
And this is all part of the early Boston hardcore community. That was, all these people, Jamie, his wife, Angie, you, Al, me, we were all part of this very early Boston, hardcore thing.
Yeah. I remember when Al took me to meet Angie for the first time, it was right after the practice space where SSD, there was like a goon squad that like almost killed people, and Al was fighting people off, and he was like, Al was thinking about getting a gun. And the first, I meet Angie for the very first time, and like she and I were on the same page about that, and kind of, and then she called me a couple weeks later and she was like, Mary, me, Katie, we all want to come down and see the Misfits in Philly. And I was like,
let me guess, at Love Hall.
At Love Hall.
At Love Hall. Like, I remember that. I was there.
Yeah, it was amazing, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, can I stay at your house? And I was like, hell yes.
Yep.
And so they came down, they stayed at my house. We had a great time. It was an incredible show. Sound sucked. Show was incredible. Chuck Meehan jumping off the balcony. You know, it was really fun.
Anecdote played that show. It was the first time I saw
Oh,
Anecdote play.
that's right. You're
And
right.
they were,
Yeah,
and it was the first time I saw Anecdote play, and I was like, they were great.
That's right, Louie. Yeah, that's great.
Louie
Yeah, it was a great
yep,
group. Yeah.
that was
Good
Shove
times. Yeah.
Hall. Yep.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
Well, Drew, think about it's as the shirt says, do good things.
Good
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. You know what? We're poking around a little bit, but you know, I want to touch on this. Let's go back into the hardcore world a second, and then we'll get back into the book thing.
Okay.
But I want to talk about you. Let's talk about this. Now, I'll set it up a little bit. When you were in Boston, you promoted a couple shows too, and you were directly responsible in getting Minor Threat to play the channel in Boston. Now, here's a shot with you, Ian, and Christina Elise McCarthy, who's a friend of ours who's been on the show. Tell us about this Minor Threat show, this legendary Minor Threat show.
Yeah, so Cynthia Conley took that photo, and I, again, didn't see it until like 2 years ago, 3 years ago or so. So, Minor Threat was going to come, and SSD was going to play with them. And so Al, I guess, whoever, I was doing like, what I was helping to manage, SSD, which was basically if Al would be like, see if you can get a show here, or like whatever. And so they were going to play the channel, and it was going to be an all ages show. And I knew the channel was a pretty big place, and I knew they were going to make a lot of money that day. So I just got it into my head that I was going to get them, they didn't give a shit about the money, but I did. I wanted them to get a lot of money. So I negotiated a contract with Warren, who was the manager at the time. And I got them to, oh, look at that. That's amazing. That's awesome. And so I got them, I think the most money Minor Threat ever got, maybe to date. They got a guarantee, I think $1,250, and then a bonus if they got 750 paying customers, which of course they did.
Oh, and there it is.
Yeah, there it is. There's the contract. Yeah, so I was enormously proud of doing that, at the time. So much so that I have that framed on my wall in my house, because it just reminds me that, you can make things happen if you want to, and so that was a great, that was an incredible show. Really a lot of fun.
June 12th, 1983. I love it. You got them a guarantee of $1,250 plus $750 if they packed the place out, which they did. They saw $2,000 in 1983. That was like $5,000 today, That's pretty. They must have been over the moon.
I can't remember that they, I guess they were psyched. Yeah, I remember Ian and Jeff. They both sent me a card afterwards, and Ian was like, you're a badass manager. Thank you. Like it really.
It's about money. It's minor. It can't be. It's not about money.
In all honesty, I don't ever, I know they were psyched. I know they were happy, and I know they were grateful, because they did send me, and I had booked them into a VFW show like before that, and they had all stayed at my house and stuff. And Ian gave me a test pressing and some stuff, like they just, and then when Fugazi came, they stayed at our house in Revere and stuff. They just, good friends. And, of course, when I asked Ian to help me frame the book, because I was like, why am I still talking about this stuff? Like, 40 years later, I've gone on, I had a career, I have all this stuff, like, why am I still talking about hardcore? And because of who he was, I thought he could help frame that. And he was like, yeah, sure. Fly to DC, So I grabbed Jackie Keys. We flew down for the day.
Oh, wow.
Cool. Yeah. And he helped,
Jackie's from Philly.
No, Jackie's from up here. She's from Hingham. But Jackie and I met each other because before I moved to Philly, she had taken this really awesome picture of Al, and she sent it to me in the mail and was like, I hear you're moving to Philly. Like, I never met her. I hear you're moving to Philly. Welcome. And I was like, oh my God, like what a sisterhood is that? Like I
know Jackie.
Yeah, Jackie's the best. Yeah, she's like, and she's my ride or die fan. Like when I told you the Slipknot story, I was like, hey, you want to take some kids to see Slipknot and Korn? And she's, what time you want me to pick you up? Like that kind of a friend, She's awesome. We've had many adventures together.
Absolutely. So what made you decide to write the book? Why was it finally time to write the book? Give us a little background on.
Okay, so like many of my stories, there's never a short answer. So it started with Reverend Hank. He asked me to merge, like, why, did I ever use punk rock in teaching? And like when I thought about it, I was like, punk rock is the main reason, like, I'm a good teacher, I think. And so I like wrote an article for him, and then I submitted it to Education Week. They published it, and somebody wanted me to do an ed talk on it. And so then I decided, like, I was going to write a book about punk rock and teaching. And I got a really high-powered agent right away from New York, and he was like, we're going to put this out to bid. But it turned out that people either liked the punk rock story or they liked the teacher story. They didn't like both. And so I was like, all right, I'll just pull one out. And so I had been on the old school hardcore kids page a lot, and I would post stories all the time.
Yep.
And every time I posted, some dude born in 1985 would correct me or contradict me or refute what I was saying about a show that I was actually at. And it would just set me off, like the mansplaining, unbelievable. Like, actually, that picture you posted isn't Irving Plaza, and I'd be like, fuck you, it is, or, tell me about who the Ghetto Riders were, or you couldn't have been at all the shows that you were at because there were no girls, there were hardly any girls at shows, and just like bullshit. So I was like, I'm writing a book, like I will definitely. So then, that's part of the reason I did it, was because I thought the women's voices were being silenced. That's Liza Radley is Jackie. Hi, Jack. Women's voices were being erased from the narrative. And like, Drew, like women were on stage in the pit, in the infrastructure, writing for fanzines, managing bands, like we were there, and so like, cut it out. And so, and it still happens, it's every time I post something, it happens. But, now I freaking wrote the book on it. So come at me.
I love once the show starts, people start sending me pictures like, hey, I'm doing a show. And people that are watching the show start during the show. Yeah. Danielle LePage just sent me, she sent me the
best.
It's the from the Love Hall show, the lineup from that day.
Oh, what a show that was.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Misfits, Antidote, and Little Gentlemen from
Little
Philly.
Gentlemen, they're from Philly.
I never heard of such a band, Gentlemen.
Yeah, they're from Philly. They're a great band. Yeah, really good band, right? Philly bands did not get their due, and I think a lot of that was because Philly bands didn't have a lot of money. They didn't tour, but they were amazing bands. And I have punk rock reunions. I did up until COVID, where I go down and I just meet up with all these people in a bar, or one time at a hotel bar. And, they're just the absolute most supportive, wonderful people that I turned to for help when I started writing the book, to fill in blanks. And, Chuck Meehan, Frank Moriarty, Shava, Lisa, Carol, and like just amazing people.
Like Upstate Rick says, we love women, more women in hardcore, please.
Well, don't make it a unwelcoming place, and we'll be people come there.
Listen, things have changed a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, with that, we don't need to get deep into it, but there was a lot of years where sort of you weren't around much, and I always look upon that as sort of the age of violence, and shows were extremely violent, and why would you want to put yourself through that? Why would a young kid? Oh, let me go to this show where I can like get beaten into a coma, or a gal.
Yeah.
Why would I want to go there where violence is so prevalent? So I will say that thankfully we have weathered the age of violence.
Good.
And as we always say, art is cyclical in nature, and I'm seeing a lot of girls. I mean, I'm always worried that I'm saying the wrong thing.
Women.
Girls, women, gals.
Women,
girls, women, gals.
That was definitely one of the reasons that I got out of it. It wasn't like, for me, it was always about the music first. Okay. Yep. That was what it was first. And then when it became about the show in the pit and all that, like I wasn't into it. Like when our pits were like
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to sound like, you know, shut up boomer, right? Our pits were organic and pure and fun, you know, and it wasn't about like mugging for a video camera because there really weren't that many video cameras around, you know, so it was about the music. And when it's, you know, when you look at the show, when you look at the videos from our shows, Minor Threat and all those, everybody's focused on the band. Even the Bad Brains show, CBGB's 82, you know, the focus is always on the band. When you look at the shows that I saw in the years you're talking about, nobody's looking at the band. They're all like looking at each other, you know?
Well, it's a different world now.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different world, but you know, I think there's good and not so good. I think it's a different world. It's a new world, but look what we have here. You know, we have the opportunity to do something like this and reach out and create a worldwide community now. So it is really incredible. I mean, in a certain regard that you know, this wasn't my game plan to start. You know, my you know, somebody tried to insult me recently, and believe it or not everybody loves me. You know, somebody said, you know, fucking Johnny Carson of hardcore, and I'm like, Johnny Carson, is that, am I supposed to be insulted
by that?
I mean,
thank you.
I mean, wow. I mean, that's like an incredible, you know, accolade.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
So you know, so that said, but yeah, you know, it's just a new world, and I think a lot of the things that we learned in that early hardcore scene, a lot of the values we still carry with us, you know, in our adult lives.
Absolutely.
I know you do. You're talking about it as a teacher. This is a big part of what, you know, made you the person you are today.
100%. Like I draw on it all the time. You know, when I first started teaching, there were a lot of gangs in my school, a lot of gang issues and stuff. And I truly believe it was my punk rock background that enabled me to connect with those kids. You know, I had no cultural competency. It was, you know, mainly Cambodian gangs. And, but I knew what it felt like to be disenfranchised and disconnected. And so that, you know, that helped me. And it also, I was kind of fearless back then because I had lived through so much, you know, so I did not mind going into the neighborhoods and being like, knocking on doors and being like, yo, why haven't you been in school? You know, like, you know, or if somebody was going to do something, to call them out on it, you know, and as a result, like you know, I was probably, you know, I was accepted by a nice group of kids that, you know, still have my back to this day. I could call them up and be like, I need $10,000 and a ride to Florida. And they'd be like, what time do you want me to pick you up? You know?
You've created a legacy for yourself. And like I said before, and I know perhaps I wasn't that eloquent about it, but you know, like what Bob Dylan said about teaching. I mean, this is, I don't know anything. What's more important, a guy sick, you know, playing, throwing a ball down a field, or somebody teaching young kids and the culture? I mean,
yeah, no, I'm with you, you know, and I don't want to get into like what they call virtue signaling, like, oh, you know, I'm saving the world or whatever, you know, like I'm one person, James, you know, we're just trying to do what we can, you know, and you know, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, you know, but I have students that are, you know, my good friends now, you know, one of the girls, Cambodian girls I came up with, Lidra, you know, she's been my best friend for, you know, 25 years now, you know, it's amazing.
That's awesome. Hey, let me take one quick break, shout out a couple sponsors. We'll come back and we'll take some questions, okay?
Sure.
What's happening? This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, Chain Reaction Records and Skateboards, Organic Grill, Your Core Hardcore fan page, and the Texas Silver Rush. It's a design. Texas Silver Rush is a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as the styling for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rollet, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. During this current pandemic, all information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram page, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. Joe Romini, cousin of Vinny Stigma, and the Texas Silver Rush. Also, want to remind everybody once again We got some really great upcoming shows coming up, starting with this Sunday. We have Gary Meskill from the Crumbsuckers. A week from today, we have Todd Morse from the Offspring H2O and Juliet and the Licks. And yes, as soon as Todd's on the show, I will be reaching out to Juliet Lewis about coming on to the show. Then we have the Global Unity show. What's going on in China with hardcore? I'm excited about this one. I hope you are too. And then we have the holiday show, Wednesday, December 23rd. We're going to march everybody through the show. Everybody. Everyone. So that said, I hope everybody's enjoying. Gina B, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Lenny, man, thank you so much for the support, Lenny. You're a solid bro. Thank you. What else? I think we got it. Somebody did a super chat before and didn't ask a question. Hey, Muggsy, David Muggsy Kluwer, what's your question for Nancy, bro? Post it up. You go to the front of the line, dude. Anybody wants to do a super chat, you go to the front of the line. All right. And I also miss questions too. It's hard, it's hard to do all this at once. Trying to do it all here. Help me help you. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Help me help you. What else? I said it all. There's nothing more to be said. Let's get some questions for Nancy Barile. And let's clear the deck here. Let's bring Nancy back on. I want to hear Drew talk film with Juliet Lewis. It's going to happen, bro. Hang in there. Let's bring Nancy back on. There you go. People are excited about Juliet Lewis,
Yeah.
Yep. I'm just a man, damn it. Thank you. I'm not a machine. Right? Let's get some questions. Let's see. What do we got here? Gina says, an amazing show. Nancy, one of a kind.
Thanks, Gina.
Let's see. Come on. What do we got? Mike Marino, Nancy's stories are amazing. Great show today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Nancy, what do you think of the current state of punk and hardcore? Any bands pique your interests? Ooh.
What do I think about it? I'm going to be honest. I don't know it. I really don't. Sometimes, like I help Al run the Instagram for SSD, and people will send us some music. And so I listen to that every once in a while. But probably the last band that I really went nuts over was Rage Against the Machine. And so that was so many years ago. I still listen to them. And, I mostly, and the Deftones, those were probably the only two bands that I really, really got into. So I'm still listening to Bad Brains, Minor Threat, SSD, I listen to that at work and I didn't progress.
Hey, it's interesting because I was in a similar place, and then, just in making the films that I do, and now I'm so connected to young bands who send me their stuff. I listen to everybody's stuff. I feel like I feel like I have I want to, and I have to,
I think that's great.
If somebody's taking the time, and I'm hearing young bands now, and they have the spirit, it's awesome. Nancy, how is Flippy?
Flippy is probably freaking out right now because Al has him cordoned off in a room upstairs.
Al did good though.
He did great. I'm thank you, Al. I just asked him, I go, how am I doing? He's like, yeah, I'm listening to some of it, that's his job, that's his job right now. It's his one job. And Flippy is great. He's the kid we never had. He's the whole reason. His happiness is the whole reason for our existence. Best dog ever,
Fantastic. Here's a question from our resident historian,
my God.
Chucky Brown. He says, in 1981, she and her brother went to an Italian restaurant, and her brother stole a bottle of wine. As they ran out, they bumped into Mick Jones, Topper Heaton, and Paul Simonon of The Clash. Can she speak on that?
Okay, so my brother was graduating high school, my little brother who I adored. And so I got him tickets to see the Clash at Bonds.
Wow.
And yeah, and so he and my boyfriend at the time, Brian, and we went to New York City, and we were like really psyched. That was the show where I had met Bono from U2 in like February of that year. There was a big snowstorm in Philly. We went to the show. There was nobody there, and I had met him, and so we were all in trash and vaudeville, and Bono walked in, and I was like, my brother was like, there's that dude from U2. And I was like, oh shit, I don't want him to see me, and I'm like hiding from Bono, like, oh God, I can't even believe it. But, then we went across the street and we saw John Belushi, and we were, much more like, whoa,
Right.
So we went to an Italian restaurant somewhere. I didn't know New York as well as I do now, but we went to an Italian restaurant somewhere and had a nice dinner. And, I was paying the bill, and my little brother said, I'm going to steal. They had, one of those things on the back of the wall with all the bottles of wine. He said, I'm going to steal it.
Is this your little brother?
Yes, that's my little brother, Danny. Yeah. Love of my life. Yep. So yeah, that's Dan. And that's at the Elk Center. And so he's like, I'm going to steal this bottle. And I was like, no, you're not. Like, cause I didn't, I was a Catholic schoolgirl, we didn't do that. He goes, yes, I am. So he grabs the bottle. We go running out of the restaurant, and we're laughing hysterically, and we ran right into the Clash, like literally ran into them, all except Joe. Thank God Joe wasn't there, because I worshiped Joe, and I would have probably died. And so we were so like starstruck. My brother took the bottle of the wine, and he like gave it to Mick. He wanted Mick to sign it, and Mick said, thanks a lot, mate. Took the bottle of wine, and off they went, and we just fell on the sidewalk, like screaming, laughing, dying. Cause like I worshiped the Clash. My whole house was like a monument to, and then the show ended up getting canceled because the fire marshal shut it down. Yeah. And so we didn't get to see them that night, and we were really crushed about it, and by the time they rescheduled, we couldn't afford to go back up to New York. And so we missed them, but it was cool. We literally ran into the Clash. Thanks for that one, Chuck.
Danielle LePage, former singer for Blood.
Yes, I love Danielle.
Long Island resident. Do you write all your own curriculum? Would you consider a class on hardcore unity and its socio-economic ramifications?
Yeah. So for my electives, I wrote for film and for mysteries and for Walking Dead, and I did one on Introduction to Education. I wrote all those curriculums. There are some classes that I was very lucky this year. I got all electives to teach for remote learning, which is like awesome. But, I do teach other classes as well. But yeah, so, some curriculum comes already made, like sophomore, junior, senior curriculum comes already made. But my students would not be interested in hardcore unit. If I did something on, hip hop or techno or something like that, they might be, I thought about it at the college level. I love, Tony Retman taught a class on hardcore at,
is that right?
At NYU, I think. Yeah. Or the New School or somewhere, and, I thought Tufts does these Tufts University does these little curriculum modules. And I always thought but I'm not really an authority. I'm a storyteller,
Yeah.
You're an authority. I'm a person, like I told you, I'm the Forrest Gump of hardcore. I managed to be at some really legendary, crazy shows, but I was out by 85. So, I don't know what I could teach. It would,
you know what?
I could do those years.
You're a little bit, we're pulling you back in a little bit.
Yeah. I love it.
It's
And that being said, what's better than the hardcore community? Like Drew, I've known you for 30 years, 35 years, 38 years, and you had me on your show, and then
almost 40.
Almost 20. Oh God,
Just the KKK thing was in 82.
Oh, please don't even
I can't. It's almost 40 years.
Yeah, I don't know, and then I meet all these cool, unbelievable hardcore women like Danielle, like Daisha, like Lori, and and they're just so awesome. Plus I have all my the ladies up here that I adore. Katie and Mary and Angie and Christine and Lori Wiggy Jones and so I just love them all, so who's better than your hardcore friends, right? When it comes right down to it.
It's my life and it's my wife, which is
Yeah.
crazy because I'm back at, I sort of wandered the wasteland, but it is really my life. And I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah. I mean, it was real. It was real. It was the time in my life when I was absolutely the most present that I've ever been. Like, I was in the moment and I knew I was going through something cool when I was doing it. Like, I knew it was special and I knew it was fun,
A question from our boy, Maddie Solberg. As a teacher, what do you think is your biggest responsibility?
I would have to say to build a relationship with my students so they can be successful at learning. There's a lot of obstacles to learning. I had them when I was in school, and so when you got to break down those barriers and help kids, to succeed. And so that's, the biggest thing, the biggest responsibility is to build relationships with your kids so that, that Jamie's really good at that. And, I like to think that I'm really good at that. And so that would be it.
Absolutely. Our guest today is Nancy Barile. She has a new book, I am not holding your coat. It is available at Bazillion Points. Oh, hold on. Let me get the full shot there. Hold on. Let me.
We should have put Al's straight edge coat that I somehow managed to get. Even though
I was actually going to ask you about that. I was like, can you wear the straight edge? Can you just pull out the straight edge coat?
I have it in the closet right over there.
A little excitement, but then I thought, what? This show's about you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, the book, a whole half of the book is my love story with Al, which, continues to this day. Al he's just a really unique person. He's yin to my yang. We have a really good time together and we've weathered a lot of storms, and
that's awesome.
I couldn't be who I am without him. And I'd like to think he thinks the same way. He'd probably be like,
downplay it.
Yeah, she's all right. Yeah.
But there it is. It's available at for pre-sale, for pre-order. Excuse me.
He's coming over here.
www.bazillionpoints.com and IG. What's up, Al?
You gonna say hi, Al? Hey, he's coming. He's slow moving, but he's coming.
So there you go.
Bridget and Terry.
Hey,
oh
man.
Yeah, Bridget, Terry. How could I forget? But he's like, you forgot to mention Bridget and Terry.
Oh,
damn right I did. Well, those are my sisters. Those are my sisters.
Did we do all right, Al?
We do okay, Al?
Yeah, great show. I mean, very smooth, Drew. Right, good streamline.
Yeah, he's the Johnny Carson. He really is.
Tell him thank you. I appreciate it.
I love it that he called me out on Bridget and Terry because
Bridget said hi, Al.
I'm thinking on my feet here. It's hard. It's stressful.
Listen, welcome to my world.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, you don't want to miss anybody.
Yeah, Michelle Monona says, thank you for doing this book. As a photographer, I'm excited to see all the amazing photos and all the stories.
Yeah, there's some cool pictures in there that just showed up. Again, the Forrest Gump of hardcore. I ended up in a lot of cool pictures.
Absolutely. And Robert Hogg says, Nancy, I wish I had teachers like you that stuck by us and helped us out because we were different. So
yep, I love the kids that are different. Those are my favorites.
The normal ones are okay.
The normal ones can do it on they can do it on their own. But the kids that are different and that's so good.
That'll be fine. Upstate Rick says this show is amazing. Well, so amazing. Well, thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Part of the reason it's amazing is because people like you support it. To be honest with you, I mean that's what really makes the show amazing is the worldwide audience. So there you go. Well, Nancy, that was a lot of fun. And
it was really a lot of fun. And you Jamie told me, he's like, don't be nervous. Drew will put you at ease. And you really did. You did great. It was Johnny Carson of hardcore. That's it.
Yeah, listen, I'm getting better at this.
Yeah, it's really good. It's fun.
It's good. It's good. And I'm really grateful. Is there anybody you want to shout out on the way out?
I mean, I think I, hit up everybody that I wanted to do. I mean, if
you better think hard. You're gonna.
Yeah, I know. if any of my students are watching, I love you guys. You guys are great. Make sure you check Google Classroom and do the work that's due tonight. That's, I'm really thankful to everyone who made the book possible. And there was a lot of people, and they're in the acknowledgments, from Glenn to my girls in Philly, my ladies up here, like everybody's really good. And of course, Al, Al, he gives me endless material.
Well, fantastic. Once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. I wish you all the best with the book. I know it's going to do great. And you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you, Drew. I really appreciate it. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Well, there you go. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest was Nancy Barile. Her new book, I'm Not Holding Your Coat. Make sure you get out there and buy it. That was really, that was great. It's really nice and a little bit different for us here. A little bit different. That said, hey, Steven. Oh, Steven, you out there? Hey.
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing?
You forgot me, didn't you?
Well, things are moving kind of fast. How you doing?
I'm here, yeah. I'm good, actually. I'm just going from train to train here. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Good show.
It was great, man.
It was nice. Nice to see Al pop his head in there, too.
Yeah, listen, Al was great. And I just really... I like to do different things, man, and I love having women on the show. I really do. Doing different things is important. I mean, you're a big part of it. So
I'm taking the mask off. I can't help it.
Ooh,
I know I should put the mask back on.
Yeah,
for everybody's benefit.
For sure.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm gonna get myself a copy of the book as well.
It's great. It's great. They sent me. Hold on. Hey, Nancy, you still out there? Hey, Nancy, you got anything for Nancy?
Wait, you cut it. Do I have anything for what? You cut out just for a minute.
Steven, do you have anything for Nancy?
Are you doing an audio book?
Oh, good question.
I mean, I don't know who would want to hear my insane.
You should read it. Are you going to read it?
With my hybrid Philly Boston accent, I think you'd want to jump off the train.
Oh, well, that's I handle that all the time, so that's no problem.
Yeah, my cousin said I sound like my mother.
I think that's a great idea, Nancy.
Yeah, if Ian from Bazillion is down, I will follow that guy anywhere. Yeah. He is just the most amazing publisher. I am so blessed to have him. And if he wants to do it, I'm doing it. I'm ready,
Cool. Good question, Steven.
Yeah.
All right.
Hang on. Oh, there we go. Hold on. You should, you know, as I listen to I listen as I go through my day here. I think it'll be amazing to have it. There we go. Sorry about the darkness.
Yeah.
You look like
scary.
Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now.
He does.
Our boy Astoria Lou, a good friend of mine, asks, any book shows down the road? Are you going to get out there and try to do any signings? And I also want to ask you a question too. Any other books?
So I had saved up a lot of money because I wanted to have the biggest throwdowns in Boston, New York, and Philly for this book. I'm talking, food, bands, everything. I was so pumped. And then COVID happened. And so I will tell you, Lou, as soon as COVID is safe, I'm going to have the high school reunion that we all wished we had at my, and it's going to be, open bar, for the non-straight edge people, and food and bands and everything. So my only thing is I don't like to fly, so I don't know if I'll go anywhere off East Coast, but I'll try. And so, and then, the other thing is I have the teacher book, and so when you said if there's any more books, if I do write a book, obviously I'm doing the SSD book, about that, Drew, the photo essay book with Jamie, Al, Phil and Flash. We're doing that with Radio Raheem. And so that's the next endeavor that's coming out. Maybe a teacher book. I want to do a a nonfiction self-help book on rebranding yourself. Like I write as a freelancer, you know, on education issues. And so, yeah, I think I got a couple. It's hard though, man. Like you think it's easy. It's hard writing a book. It's much harder than you think.
My Patreon supporter, Anja B, says, Nancy, from a non-native speaker, you're great to understand. No problem with your Philly accent.
Oh, thank you, Anya. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. Nancy Barile has her say. Fantastic. Once again, I'll talk to you soon, Nancy.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Well, there you go. Wow, what a great show. And I'm just so lucky. I get to do something that I really love doing. I am the Johnny Carson of hardcore. Oh man, that's funny. You know, I don't know. I'll take it. Yeah, that's a big compliment. You know. So that said, was a great show. I don't know what else to say to everybody. You know, thank you, Chucky, and thanks to everybody. Lenny, you are a big supporter of this show. I thank you so much. How is that an insult? I think it's great. You know, I think it's great. You know, people listen. At this point, not a lot, you know, really gets me. Who's Ed McMahon? You know. Well, you know what? Honestly, someone called me the Johnny Carson of hardcore. Somebody else called me the David Letterman of hardcore. Neither of them are really insulting. You know, I mean, I know I'm not the Jerry Springer of hardcore. That would be like, that would be a little, you know. Someone once called me the Woody Allen of hardcore. I thought that was kind of funny, you know. Paulie Porkchops, thank you, brother. Great show, Drew and Nancy. Yeah, thanks. It was great, you know. You know, we've been doing a lot of great shows lately. That Mike Judge show we did, the show before this, wow, that was really, and the Moby show, you know, we're doing some. Thank you, Gina. We're the best. You know. Here's Drew. Da, 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 da. Hey, you know, when is the 100th show guest announcement? Well, I'll tell you what, I put in one clue and a bunch of people got it right away. So, I mean, I want to hold off on it. I want to hold off on it a little more. You know what? How about this? You know what? For those that have hung in till this part of the show, I'm going to announce a show right now that I wasn't going to announce, but I'm in a giddy mood. And just because you guys have hung in, here we go. Show episode number 94, Wednesday, January 14th. We have the creator of the New York Hardcore logo, Kevin Crowley of The Abused. This should be another real old school New York hardcore show, rich in history. Kevin Crowley created, if you saw my film, The New York Hardcore Chronicles, available on Amazon Prime right now. You know, Kevin Crowley created the New York Hardcore logo. He sang for The Abused. He's another guy like Keith Burkhart from Cause for Alarm, who does not do interviews and is not on social media, but he'll come on our show. So there you go. Yep. Yep. How about that, huh? Yep. Everybody, that's right. Yep. Yay. All the old school people are loud and clear. Yep. So that was just for everybody. That was just for everybody that hung in, all you diehards. I know people kind of wandered off, but that was for all for Work Glove approved. Yeah, he did the Work Glove drawing. Yep. So that's cool. The holiday show's coming up. Lining up some cool people for that. We're gonna march. Listen, just a heads up about the holiday show. We're gonna march a lot of people through the show. It's going to be another like marathon show. It'll probably be like, you know, another 2.5 hour, you know, because it's a holiday show. It's gonna whatever. or as Vinny Sting would say, whatever. So it's going to be that kind of a party for the Halloween show. That said, once again, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your support. Thank you for enabling me to really do something I really love doing. I'll see you on Sunday for Gary Mescal of Propane. I want to thank our guest, Nancy Barile. Go buy her new book. I want to thank Stephen Messina. Until then, do good things, and good things will come to you.